Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. Today I'm going to talk to you about how you can start your own transplants in flats, in seed cells, and not use grow lights. That's the number one question I get a lot. People ask me, do I need grow lights to seed start tomatoes primarily and peppers? And you do if you're going to be growing these indoors. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. These are about 8 to 9 weeks old. These were grown under grow lights. They were taken outside a couple weeks ago, acclimated to the outdoors, and they're nice and large. They're, beautiful transplants that are going to go into the garden. Not everybody can do that. You can simply start your tomatoes and other vegetables, we're going to talk about those in a second, in these 6-cell packs. I sell these at my seed shop if you want to pick them up. 2 or 3 seeds in there. I overseeded this because I was doing a test germination for all the tomatoes I sell, all the tomato seeds I sell, and they all germinated, thank goodness. But what's the difference? Start, if you want to do your transplants, 2 or 3 seeds in there. Leave them in the house till you see one tomato break the surface. And actually, here's a seed that just came up. So when they break the surface and look something like this, get them right outside. So when you're getting night temperatures that fall to the frost and to the freeze, you're going to be putting these out during the day when the temperatures are in the upper 30s or warmer, and bringing them in at night. And you can just do this every day. When you leave for work, put them outside. When you come home, bring them inside. They will do wonderfully. 4 weeks worth of growth. Today is May 2nd. These were put in on April 4th. And these are perfect sizes for transplants. They don't have to get this big. But this is a great way to grow 72 different transplants. I probably have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 24 different varieties in here. All grown without grow lights, all perfect transplants, all ready to go into my garden today. You can also do it with other vegetables. These went in on April 5th. These are beets. Beets make great transplants from the seed cells. Spinach, basil, okra, lettuce, leeks. They all do well as transplants, grown the same way. Put the seeds in. When you see them break the surface, just one plant, as soon as one plant breaks the surface, put them outside during the day, bring them in at night. Plants that don't do well as seed starts, these are turnips. Any kind of your turnip greens or turnip family don't do well in there, but I was test germinating them. So here I have 2 flats, started about 4 weeks ago, simply brought them outside during the day. In 20 minutes I was able to plant this 4x8 bed. 4 weeks worth of growth for these seed starts. Took them out during the day, brought them in at night. If you need the seed starting supplies, you can find them at my seed shop. But this is a great way to grow transplants, get a jump on the season. To the left I have perpetual spinach or Swiss chard, Bloomsdale spinach. Through here 4 rows of 2 varieties of beets. I have okra across the back, 3 different varieties. Dropped in some basil, lettuces along the right there, and 2 tomato plants. You can definitely start your own seed starts, make your own transplants using this method. 3-4 weeks worth of growth, and you can bring them right out to your garden. And then brought them back inside at night. They are ready to go into the garden. Now, why wouldn't you just, directly sow in a garden? A lot of people ask me that too. You can if your gardens are set up, if you have the right weather. For instance, I just moved, so you can see my beds are still in transition. I don't want to be planting these as a seed today when I can get 4 weeks of growth, and I will get produce more quickly to my table by doing this. So this works really, really well. So I'm going to set up this space here. I'll be doing other videos to show you how I fill and use peat moss in a raised bed. But let me set these up, and then I'll show you how I plant the transplant tomatoes, how I take care of the beets and some of the other plants in there. So again, there's many reasons why you want to start seeds yourself, either indoors under grow lights or using the method I said where you just bring them out during the day and in at night. Number one reason, you can actually grow tomato transplants and pepper transplants that you're just not going to find as transplants at like Home Depot and Lowe's. There's thousands and thousands of tomatoes and peppers. By growing your own transplants, you get a better variety, better selection. You may not have your bed set up, like mine weren't set up, so starting the beets, the spinach, the perpetual spinach or Swiss chard in the flats, I get 3-4 weeks worth of growth, put them into my bed, and I will get them to full size and be able to harvest them much sooner. It also depends on your growing season. Some growing seasons are the entire year and it gets too hot. Some seasons are too cold and they have a shorter growing season. So every zone has different issues of heat, of cold, of shorter season, of longer season. So it's really up to you. But I want to show you how quickly and easy it is to put your transplants in. So rather than dropping seeds, having to wait for them to come up, we'll start with the perpetual spinach. And I will do other videos on setting up the bed. That's not, the focus of today's video. Gently undo the curling roots. Drop your hand in. You're going to just hold this right at the base. Drop it in. Backfill, press it in. And we'll work our way all the way up. Just like that. Forgot to loosen that one. Drop it in. And you have Swiss chard planted. There's only one plant here. I like to put 3 or 4 plants in one space. Drop it in. And then just press it in. We'll water that in at the end. This is Bloomsdale spinach. Loosen it up a little bit. Same thing. Drop it down. That's a weed. And you're loosening it up. You're planting it to just a little bit. Sometimes they're going to be a little bit leggy. Because the black plastic gets warm, these are cool weather plants, sometimes they stretch a little bit. Just plant up to, let's see, put that in there. So it's a little bit leggy, just plant to about there. The plant will take care of itself. Drop it in. Nice clump of spinach. I'm not growing these to full size. When they get about that tall, I'll cut them, leave the roots in, the spinach will come back. And these will do really well until the temperatures start getting into the upper 70s and 80s during the day, and then they're going to bolt and flower. These are cylindrica beets. When you plant a beet seed, there's actually multiple seeds in there. It's more of a pod. Thin it down to one. You can see that it gets kind of long, again because it's growing in plastic that heats up, so it kind of accelerates the growth a little bit. And sometimes you have to keep your tray indoors because it's too cold outside. So they get a little bit leggy being inside. But you're going to plant it up to about halfway, let's see, right up to there so that it is supported in the ground. If the beets don't form for some reason, you're still going to get delicious greens, but it should be fine. Kind of backfill, press it in, and work your way up just like that. You don't need to loosen the beet roots. They don't like to really be messed with, but there's a myth saying you can't start beets in seed cells. Well, that's not true because I've been doing it for a long time now. And I quickly get the beets in just like that. Press along the sides, and we're going to water this in afterwards. Now, the tomatoes. This is one that's been 8 or 9 weeks old. It's larger, grown in the grow lights, acclimated outside. Much more labor intensive. These were grown in the flats 4 weeks, taking the flat outside during the day, inside at night. This is a glacier. It's an early determinate variety tomato. That's going to go in now. I'm going to switch cameras, or switch sides of the garden and go over there. And this is an early cascade. 2 early variety tomatoes that I want to get growing now, and they're determinates, which means they'll get to a set height. They'll set their fruit, and then they die off after you kind of harvest them. Let me set that up over there and we'll get those in the ground real quick. So we have the early cascade. The soil was prepared to about foot deep, loosened up. I put in organic fertilizer. Again, subscribe to my channel. I'll show you how to set up a planting hole. We're just going to drop it into the hole. We're going to go right up to here, halfway. You don't need to really loosen the seed. You're grabbing them at about 4 weeks, or loosen the roots. You're grabbing them at about 4 weeks. And that's all you do. You have your transplant in the ground, ready to go. Going to go about 2 feet over to here. This is the glacier, same thing, dig the hole. Going to plant to right about there. Probably put a stake in. These are going to get a little bit tall. Enough distance. My sunlight is over here. It's going to cast a shadow this way, primarily as the intense sun comes around to that side. You don't want shadows being cast onto your other vegetables that are in there. So put your tomatoes or your taller plants in a place where the shadow falls outside the garden. So I was going to water them in, but I think you can figure that out. Water them in with a fish emulsion. I do use the chemical type fertilizers for a quick splash to establish plants. That's perfectly safe, perfectly fine. I'll talk about that in other videos. But go ahead and use fish emulsion or any water soluble fertilizer you want. But this is a great method to make 72 tomato transplants. Cost you pennies a plant by doing it this way. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com. Thanks for watching.